satma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrutyormayamrutam gamaya. Let us begin this Diwali and the coming New Year with an ancient Vedic prayer that tells us, O God, lead us from untruth to truth. Lead us from darkness to light. And lead us from death to immortality. What better prayer can there be than this prayer of light, immortality, and truth? As we look upon the last year, we also realize that normally whenever we pray to God, we always thank God for the year that has passed, and we are always hopeful for the year that is coming. Every new year, we are filled with thankfulness for the year that has passed, and we are filled with hopefulness for the coming year. We always pray to God and thank Him for what has happened, and we sincerely pray to Him, hoping for what is yet to come. But when we look upon the last year, we think that 2020, which was completely engulfed by the coronavirus pandemic, you may ask me that, Swamiji, what is there to thank about? And I do understand in these times of darkness, depression, and death, and yet the times were uncertain, full of panic and fear, where I believe there is not a single person on this earth who has not been affected by the pandemic, whether it's losing somebody that he has loved, whether it's a great loss in business and wealth, or whether it's just feeling lonely and depression. I still want to tell you that even if the year was tough, and of course the times were really tough, but I know in the depth of my heart that we human beings are tougher. God has given each one of us a strength, a special strength to rise beyond the challenges that we face. So this new year, our prayers are somewhat different. Whatever God has chosen and wished to do, we must thank Him for everything that has happened. I know it might be difficult, but we have learned lessons from the year that has gone by. The lessons may be different for each person, but if I wanted to just simply summarize, there are 3 words that we have learned, and we should keep them in our depths of our memory and experience, and which will help us in the year ahead. One is deep cleaning. Of course, the times were where we washed our hands, wore masks, we kept everything hygiene. But a new word came into our lives which is known as deep clean, where special equipments and fog and all these other special solutions were used to clean our houses with depth, to also clean the environment and offices, to create an environment which was completely protected and safe. Every Diwali, it's a custom for all of us to clean our drawers, clean our cupboards, get rid of the things that we don't really need, do away with things that clutter our life. But have we ever thought of deep cleaning our minds and our hearts? Much of our mind is always occupied by prejudice and bias. What about cleaning that? Much of our heart is completely filled with die-hard hatreds. Until we deep clean our own personalities, we will never be able to have a great new year. There are so many hurts and there are so many regrets in our lives that we cannot enjoy the present and the future. One man came to me, and while I was in the temple, he said, Swamiji, if somebody had chosen to do this to me, I would at least understand. But life is so unfair. And I asked him, what is so unfair about life? He said that I've always been singled out. I've always been treated unfairly. If somebody else had done this, I would understand, but it is on my own father. I said, what has really happened? He said, I feel like taking my own life and I don't feel like living anymore. Because ever since I was born, my father had always treated me unfairly, completely biased and prejudiced against me. Even when I was a young kid, I always had the leftover clothes of my brother. He was admitted into a better school, I in a much lesser school. Even as we studied, he always got the benefits of everything that was good, and I was always neglected. Even when we got married, he got a better wife and I had to stick with whatever I got. And even now, when it came down to distributing wealth of my father, he got a lion's share and I came away with almost nothing. So I've always been treated unfairly by my father. So if it was somebody else, I would have complained. But if it's my own father, what can I do? So I said, look, if you are so hurt and if it's so deep in your heart, you ask your father to come to me. I will talk to him and explain to him to be a little more fair with you. He said, that's not possible. And I said, why? Why is that not possible? And he said, but he's died 24 years ago. And I said, well, if he's gone, he's no longer here, why do you keep hurting yourself? Deep clean your hurts and hates. Only then you'll have a great future new year. Sometimes we can't get rid of our own deep grudges and biases in our own minds. One man, and this is a true incident, one man, he developed the cancer of his heart. Normally we hear about cancer in the lungs, in the pancreas, blood cancer, you get a tumor here and there. But the cardiac muscle contracting cancer, it's rare and hardly heard of. But this man developed a lesion on his heart. So doctors who were treating him said, but there is no real reason why he should get cancer at that place. So the doctors kept telling him that, is there anything that's really hurting you? You've got a grudge or a bias or something you can't forget or a regret? He said, nothing much. He said, but look, I'm a fit person. He said, of course I know you're a fit person. He said, I've survived the concentration camp and I've passed through, Hitler's torture. And yes, I've survived everything, but there's one thing I can't forget and I can't forgive. What? He said, I can never forgive Hitler for what he did to us. The doctor said, it's almost 50 years since the World War II and you have survived. So let go of that hurt and hatred. Forgive and move on. Forget. The man said, no, doc, I can do anything and everything, but him I can't forgive. And that I can't forget. The doctor said, there's no other choice. And that man could not forgive or forget. And he held on to his hatred. And at the end, he died of heart cancer. The doctor makes a note and he says, what the concentration camp could not do to this man, he did to himself by not allowing his grudges to go. We sometimes fail to let go. As we celebrate Diwali, like I said, it's a time of deep cleaning. After Lord Rama had defeated Ravana, and when Ravana was going to be cremated, Lord Ram starts looking for Ravana's brother, Vibhishan. And he calls him and he says that it is time that you lit the funeral pyre of Ravan. Vibhishan said that Lord Ram, that how much I hate Ravan. He was a demon. And I can't, though he was my brother, I cannot show myself to be associated with him. He hurts me deeply. Lord Ram said, but it is your duty, not just a social duty, but a moral duty. You are his brother by birth, so you must come and light the funeral pyre. He said, but I can't forgive him, I can't let go. That's when Lord Rama explained that if you can't, then I will stand and I will light the funeral pyre. And then he tells Vibhishan that in death, you must forget everything. Learn to let go. Forgive and move on. That is the spiritual side. So Diwali is a spiritual festival. Let go of your deep difficulties, hurts, hates, prejudice against anybody. Even those who have hurt you, just let go. Pramukh Swami Maharaj, even after Akshardham was attacked, of course he stood by all the people who were hurt and the families who lost their loved ones. But he also set an example and he took a higher moral ground of forgiving and forgetting and continuing with the great work that he does. Most importantly in life, we must deep clean this Diwali to make our lives lighter. The second word that we have learned during this pandemic and the lessons we should never forget is immunity. Instead of waiting for vaccines, they are important and they are crucial to man's betterment and health. But what about generating your own immunity by the right foods, the right habits, the right thoughts that we think? Today, science tells us that positivity is perhaps the greatest immunity booster. So many people, lay people, were shown visuals, good visuals and terrifying visuals, positive visuals and negative visuals. Positive meaning of sunshine, people happy, playing and having a great time. Negative visuals were of war, blood, darkness, hatred, anger. So when people were shown so many different visuals, and at the end of the test, they were asked to recall the visuals they remembered. It is said in the experiment that those who recalled positive visuals, their immunity improved. And those who had a habit of recalling negative visuals, their immunity decreased. In your own life and our own lives, we encounter both positive and negative experiences. But if you have a habit of remembering the good, if you have a habit of thanking for what has happened, if you actually enjoy and treasure and are happy about all the things of life by being positive, then you are actually helping your own immunity. The word that we have learnt of immunity can only and most probably greatly be improved by positivity. Pramukh Swami Maharaj often said that do we have a choice? We say that we can choose to take things negative and choose to take things positive. But as Pramukh Swami said, that those who learn to take things positive, they grow and grow. And those who choose to take things negative, they become less and less, they degrade. And we really don't have a choice. Theoretically, we say we have a choice whether to eat or not. But if you want to live, you must eat. Theoretically, we have a choice whether to breathe or not. If I choose to breathe, I'll breathe. And if I choose not to breathe, I won't breathe. But practically, if you want to live, you must breathe. So theoretically, we have a choice whether to be positive or negative about certain things. But if you want to live happily, you have no choice. We must learn to live positively. Classic example of Lord Rama. Even after he was exiled into the forest by his own stepmother Kaikeyi, after 14 years in the forest and struggling every day and facing all the difficulties that you and I could imagine, and even after a bit of war with Ravana, When Lord Rama returns to Ayodhya, that's what we celebrate in Diwali. That after his victory over Ravan, after good defeats the evil, after light defeats darkness, when Lord Ram comes into Ayodhya, the whole of Ayodhya is lit with beautiful lamps in every balcony, every doorstep, on every gate, every tree, everywhere you could see, it was beautifully turned into a sight of the gods. Beautiful flickering lamps. And in that celebrative mood, as Lord Ram comes in, amongst the first people he goes and bows down to was his stepmother Kaikeyi. That's when she starts feeling a little guilty and says that it was very wrong of me to banish you to the forest. I feel so bad. But look at the positivity of Lord Rama. He bows down to Kaikeyi and says, Mother, don't feel that way. Don't be guilty. I have actually come to thank you for the beautiful 14 years you gave into my life. He didn't do what a normal person would do. He said, yeah, it's a bit too late after 14 years. No. He said, I've come to really thank you. And he said, had I not gone to the forest because of your wish, I would have never understood the love of my father, who could not live 1 second without me. I could never have appreciated the glory of Bharata. Despite the fact he got a kingdom, he chose not to take the throne. I would have never understood the courage of Hanuman. Come what may, he did whatever that was necessary. I could have never understood or realized the friendship of Sugriv. And yes, Mother, I would have never understood the devotion of Lakshmana, my brother. He was more than a shadow. He was with me, within me, forever around me. And I would have never understood the loyalty and truth of Sita. Not even in the wildest of her dreams has she had ever another thought of another man. And yes, Mother, I would have never understood my own strengths, that I could do things that I could have never imagined. And yes, I could have never appreciated the valor and the enmity of an enemy. Ravan was an enemy par excellence. And I thank you for everything that you did for me and made me a greater person. All the challenges he took positively. So of course, if Diwali is associated with Lord Ram, and if Diwali and the New Year is associated by thanking the past and praying for the future, what better way? We should learn from the past year and continue to pray for the future. Just as deep cleaning our minds and our hearts, just as boosting our immunity through positivity, the third and the most important word would be lockdown. Now you'll tell me that, Swamiji, what do we have to learn from lockdown? Well, lockdown has taught each one of us that there are so many things we can do without in life. There are so many things which are luxuries that are not necessary for our own existence. Yes, we could live 8 months without going out to a restaurant or outside to eat. Yes, we became healthier. Yes, without splurging on great holidays and unnecessary shopping. Yes, we could spend time and get to know our own families. We had time with our own bodies and our minds and understanding our own selves. Yes, we found a way of connecting with people through the digital platform. So I do believe that lockdown has taught us one thing, the difference between what we want and what is needed. We continue to clutter our lives with things that we want but are not needed. Let us understand and simplify our lives. I'm not trying to say that accept a vow of poverty. No. We must progress, we must move ahead, but can we simplify? So lockdown is something that has taught us, with all its challenges and difficulties, that yes, we can simplify our lives even in these modern times. So the past year has taught us how to simplify our lives, how to purify our lives. And though there is no such word, I would like to use how to positify our lives. If your and my life can be simplified, be made more positive, and can be purified, then we stand up and pray before God that God give us the strength to make our future more prosperous. Give us the strength to understand you in a more positive way. Give us the strength to relate to our loved ones and even those who may not recognize us. Give us the strength to respect everybody, to accept everybody, and to protect everybody. So I pray to Bhagavan Swami Narayan and also to Guru Hari, Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Guru Hari Mahant Swami Maharaj, that may they shower upon each one of us their choicest blessings to help us face the future with great prosperity, great positivity. To all those who have suffered the loss of a loved one, to all those who have suffered the challenges of a financial nightmare, to all those who have suffered health issues, to all those who have suffered loneliness and depression, may God and our Gurus grant you with inner strength and a greater and a brighter future with all their blessings to support us across the ocean of life. Jai Swami.